All right, we're diving deep into one of the biggest, most important conversations happening on the planet right now, the race to build artificial general intelligence, or AGI. The experts are really going at it, debating not just when it's going to get here, but what on earth we need to do right now to get ready for it. Okay, let's get into it. And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? This is the one question that frames this entire explainer. If we actually pull this off, if we create an intelligence that's way beyond our own, how in the world do we make sure its goals and our goals are, well, aligned? How do we keep it on Team Human? Believe me, this is the challenge that keeps the world's top AI minds staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. So, to even get a handle on this conversation, we have to start with the fundamental concept that everyone is wrestling with. In the field, they call it the AI alignment problem. To put it simply, AI alignment is the mission to build AI systems that actually do what we want them to do, and, just as importantly, act in ways that are good for humanity as a whole. An aligned AI helps us solve huge problems. A misaligned AI? Well, that could cause some serious harm. I mean, the stakes here? They couldn't be higher. Getting this right from the very beginning is everything. But here's the kicker, and this is so important. This isn't just about writing smarter code. The research is crystal clear on this. Alignment is a profoundly social issue. You can't just solve it in a computer lab. It forces all of us to ask these incredibly deep questions about our own values. Questions that pull in philosophy, ethics, law, the whole shebang. So, how urgent is all this, really? Well, that depends a whole lot on when AGI might actually show up. And as you're about to see, that particular goalpost, it's been moving. A lot. The big takeaway here isn't one specific date, it's the trend. I mean, just look at this. A few years ago, AGI felt like this distant sci-fi idea, something for our kids to maybe worry about in the 2060s. But see how fast those forecasts have shrunk? Now you have prediction markets and even top AI leaders saying, hey, this could be possible within this decade. The horizon is rushing towards us. This analogy really puts the stakes into perspective, doesn't it? Even if a lot of experts think AGI is still far away, you've got a pretty significant chunk of them saying it could be here soon. And that uncertainty alone demands we take this seriously. I mean, think about it. You would never, ever get on a plane if a third of the engineers told you it might explode mid-flight. The same logic has to apply here. And this brings us to the next massive debate. When AGI does arrive, is it going to be this sudden, world-changing shock to the system? Or will it be more of a gradual process, something we can slowly adapt to? So the two main theories here are what they call fast takeoff versus slow takeoff. A fast takeoff is like a lightning strike. One lab has a huge breakthrough and boom, the world is different overnight. A slow takeoff is more like a rising tide. Powerful AI systems just keep getting better and better, slowly transforming our world. And AGI eventually emerges from that already very advanced, very chaotic environment. Now, this is where it gets really fascinating, because how you even try to solve the alignment problem comes down to a very basic, fundamental assumption you make about what AI is in the first place. Let's unpack that. So at the heart of this whole debate, you've got these two competing views. On the one hand, some people see AI as fundamentally a tool, like a hammer or a super advanced computer. It's something we control. But on the other hand, you have people saying, no, it's evolving into something more like a social partner, an autonomous agent that we're going to have to learn to live with and cooperate with. And whichever path you go down completely changes your goal. If you think AI is just a tool, then your main focus is on technical safety and, of course, stopping bad actors from misusing it. But if you see it as a social partner, whoa, the challenge gets way bigger. Now you have to figure out how to integrate a totally new kind of non-human intelligence into human society. Okay, this brings us to what might be the hardest, most brain-bending part of the entire puzzle. Let's say we get the tech right. We can align an AI to anything we want. What exactly are we supposed to align it to? And right here, this is the question that takes us out of computer science and straight into deep philosophy. I mean, what does it even mean for an AI to be good? And whose definition of good are we going to use? The most intuitive thing, the approach everyone thinks of first, is to try and program in what the researchers call substantive values. The big, noble ideas we all say we believe in. Things like fairness, justice, honesty, human dignity. Seems like a pretty good place to start, right? But, and this is a huge but, it falls apart really fast when you look closer. What does fairness actually mean to a computer? The definition changes from person to person, culture to culture. There's zero global consensus on what these words mean in practice. And maybe the most important question of all, who gets to decide? A few developers in Silicon Valley? A specific government? This whole approach of hard-coding values is just full of holes. So if trying to align AI to these big abstract values is a dead end, where does that leave us? Well, some researchers are proposing a totally different approach, a new way of thinking that reframes the entire problem. Here's the big idea in a nutshell. Instead of trying to teach an AI what to think, we should be teaching it how to think. The focus shifts away from specific, pre-approved outcomes and towards a trustworthy, reliable process. In this slide really nails the contrast. The current way of thinking, what's often called constitutional AI, tries to bake in those substantive values, like principles from the UN Declaration of Human Rights, right into the AI. But this new proposal says, no, let's use a constitution of procedural values instead. Let's focus on the rules of a healthy system. So what on earth are procedural values? Well, it means you're not trying to align the AI to one specific, fixed definition of good. Instead, you align it to the processes that we already know lead to good, legitimate results. Things like making sure all the relevant voices get heard and that information can flow freely and accurately. Here's how it would actually play out in practice. First, you stop thinking of AI as just a box of code, and you see it for what it is, part of a massive network of users, developers, data, the whole system. Second, you figure out the best practices, the rules of the road, for making that network healthy and productive. And then, step 3, you actually design the AI to enforce and uphold those network rules. This example makes the difference so clear. Instead of trying to teach an AI the incredibly fuzzy, abstract concept of be fair, you would teach it the concrete procedures for enabling a fair conversation among all of its users. It's all about the process, not the prescription. This quote really just captures the entire spirit of this idea. The goal is to make AI a tool that makes all of us better at solving problems together, instead of just imposing one person's or one group's idea of what's good on everyone else. And this leaves us with a final, really powerful thought to chew on. In this whole quest to solve the technical problem of AI alignment, we are being forced to define the core principles of what makes for healthy communication, for collaboration, for progress. So could it be that the very rules we need to invent to create a safe, beneficial AI are the exact same rules we need to build a better, more functional human society? Something to think about.